Hello YouTube. Let me tell you about a very interesting Ukrainian island, and you heard about it too in the last few months. But there are things that you don't know about this island. It's a piece of land. It's shaped like a turtle. This is Zmyiny Island, or Zmyiny Ostrov. In Russian, Ukrainian Zmyiny, but the current events around this Ukrainian island of Zmyiny are far from the first in history of this place. It turns out that this piece of land in the Black Sea has already been at the forefront of international conflicts. Until the beginning of the 19th century, the Snake Island, as it's in translation, belonged to the Turks. After their defeat by Russian weapons, it passed into imperial ownership. Now, after Russia's loss in the Crimean War, the island returned to the Ottomans again, and after a short stay under Romania, it found itself under the jurisdiction of the Soviet Union. A primordial mystical legend has been associated with the island since ancient times. And by the way, there is a ship cemetery near its shores, and I'll speak about it through the video. Mysticism has covered this small island. The invincible Achilles himself was supposedly buried there. In the 6th century BC, a temple dedicated to the ancient Greek hero appeared on the sea island, inside which a 20-meter statue towered. Some scientists believe that part of the sculpture, a golden shield weighing 15 kilograms, is still located somewhere within the island. Now, you can be sure that archaeologists and others have been looking for it, and I know about looters and grave robbers and such from my research of another island in the Black Sea, where I visited 50 plus years ago, descended into the ancient Greek temple. It was located underground, and kept investigating it as much as I could from far away for decades. But that story will be told later. Today we're looking at the Snake Island. Certain medicinal properties were attributed to the sanctuary located there. The temple actually functioned seasonally, and during the autumn-winter navigation period, the operation stopped. There you can also find fragments of ancient temple ruins, the stones of which were dismantled for the construction of a lighthouse. And not so long ago, a ship with ancient amphora was found off the coast of the Snake Island, and I'll describe it later. There's another myth connected with the temple of Achilles about how the Amazons tried to destroy it. The Amazons, those brave female warriors of antiquity, decided to make a pirate raid on the island because they fiercely hated Achilles, who killed their leader, Penthesilea, in battle, and they wanted to seize the riches of the temple. So, an expedition to the island consisting of 50 ships was equipped. 50 ships. Imagine it. The power needed to do so. Well, anyway, having landed on the shore, the Amazons ordered the slaves to cut down trees around the temple. Then the warriors on horseback tried to get inside. But Achilles looked menacingly at the women who rode horses, and from this look the horses went mad, reared up, threw the Amazons to the ground, and began to trample them with their hooves. A few minutes later, the Amazons' landing was completely destroyed, and Achilles returned to the pedestal. So, this is very interesting. There you had a possible robotic-like creature, not to belittle Achilles, who could use his gaze, his power of his gaze, to subdue enemies. And by the way, if you're interested in the Amazons, as I have been, of those of Eurasia, I have a video about them. I'll try to put the link in the description to this one. It's an amazing story. But again, let's go back to the island. So if this is a legend, then the legend is beautiful. But the trees on that island have not grown since that time. The Snake Island is protected by the Ukrainian state as a monument of underwater cultural heritage. This factor is due to the fact, again, that there is an unparalleled ship cemetery nearby. There you can find all the ships on which people sailed through the history of navigation in the Black Sea. These are ancient galleys with amphora and wine, warships, and a sunken submarine from the Second World War. The ships lie at a shallow depth, and people are lowered to them in light equipment for underwater diving. Every centimeter of all 20 hectares comprising the island, according to scientists, every centimeter hides an ancient secret. Again, in 2011, at the 35-meter depth of the Black Sea near the island, this ancient Greek amphoroid vessel, which is more than 2,500 years old, it was discovered untouched by time. This find is recognized as the largest archaeological discovery of recent times. The approximate length of the vessel is 27 meters. This is a merchant vessel filled with pottery, skythos, bowls, and drinking cups, as well as priceless black lacquer ceramics. The Turks attached mystical significance to this small piece of land. It was believed that the walls of the ancient temple, in honor of the invincible Achilles, rewarded the pilgrims who visited him with good health and special skills. People believed that there was tremendous energy in the island. There was also a belief that he who owns the Snake Island owns the world. The island is considered the cleanest place in the entire Black Sea water area. For many centuries, the ancient Greeks, Romans, and Byzantines owned the Snake Island. During the period of modern history, the Snake Island belonged to the Turks, and after their defeat to the Russians, they had numerous battles. Again, after a while, it came back to the Russian Empire. After the failure of the Crimean War, Turkey regained its property rights. So it's all very interesting. But during the Turkish rule, the island was called Fidonisi, which means island of snakes in Turkish. The most amazing thing is that there are reportedly no native snakes on the island at all. There's simply no food for creeping reptiles in the island's environment. There is a legend that river snakes living on the island territory are the souls of lost navigators. This place is not very good, and people who succumb to mystical prejudices believe in this legend. So the Ukrainian island was named Snake Island, according to another source. Again, thanks to mythology. According to one legend, Achilles could turn into a snake, breathing fire, flying with huge wings in the moments of battles with enemies. According to historical data, the modern name appeared in the 19th, 20th century. Now, everything to at least some people explained by the fact that the strong Danube current regularly throws river snakes onto the land. The island got its current name thanks to the snakes migrating from the Danube Delta. The island had other names: Achilles, Blessed One, Philos, Ilanada, Sherpilor, and Fidonisi, of course. After the end of the Crimean War, when it became part of the Romanian territory, where the Romanians placed a military garrison, and then they had criminals on the island, imprisoned them. But in 1878, Romanians set up a military garrison altogether. Let's look at 1917. Europe is being shaken by First World War. Fighting is also underway on the Black Sea. The German light cruiser Breslau is especially active. The elusive cruiser suddenly appeared in different areas of the sea, struck a lightning strike, and again disappeared over the horizon at full steam. It was one of these dashing raids that served as the prehistory of the last combat campaign of the destroyer Lieutenant Zazareny. On the night of June 12, or the new style June 25, Breslau put 70 mines in front of the mouth of the Danube. At 2:45, the cruiser approached the island of Fidonisi, as the Snake Island was called back then, because there was an observation post with a Russian-Romanian garrison of 30 people. And after 30 volleys, not a single whole structure remained on the island. The German cruiser, when departing from Fidonisi, exposed 10 mines remaining on board to the southeast of the island. The command of the Russian fleet ordered to restore an observation point on Fedonissia as soon as possible. In pursuance of this order, on the morning of June 17, or June 30, the new style, the Lieutenant Zatsareny left the port of Odessa. On board, in addition to the crew, there was a team of the new garrison of the island, as well as materials for the restoration of the lighthouse and radio station. The command was aware of the mine ambushes of the Breslau. Minesweepers were already working in the delta area, cleaning the waters of German mines. But the commander of the destroyer, Lieutenant Stilberg, probably decided to additionally ensure himself an approach Fedonissi not by a direct course from Odessa, from the northeast, but from the southeast. Although the distance between the mines was about 100 meters, and the chances of passing without consequences for the destroyer, which had a width of about 8 meters. Nevertheless, at 3:30 hours, 2.5 miles southeast of the island, the destroyer hit a mine. A charge of 114 kilograms of explosives was enough to break the hull. The bow part instantly disappeared in the waves. The aft part remained afloat for about an hour and was towed by the arrived minesweepers closer to the island. And, well, she sank 2.5 cables from Fedonissi. During its existence, the island territory was part of several empires, actually, including the Roman Empire and, of course, the Russian, the Ottoman. Well, and we know that after World War II, the island was transferred to the Soviet Union. More than once, this piece of land was no man's land. But it has always acted as a strategic post for different states. With the collapse of the USSR, the possession of this island passed to the Ukrainians. Snake Island is attributed to its tectonic origin, calling it the only above-water fragment of the northwestern Black Sea shelf. The geological age is about 10 million years. The only settlement on the territory is the village of Beloye. This is how the ancient name of the Snake Island, Levka, is translated, meaning white in Russian. In ancient times, seafarer had a custom of throwing gilded coins into the water near the island so that Achilles would take them under his protection. In addition, they hid other jewels in the grottos. Sometimes scuba divers still find gold coins at the bottom of the sea, but most often they find amphora. This indicates that they contain grain or olive oil. An archaeological expedition, again, found a ship sitting entirely in the ground near the island land plot. It is assumed that this is the ship from the 4th century BC, according to this report. But raising it to the surface is still a technical task. About 1,000 amphora were found near the vessel. To avoid the invasion of what they gently call treasure seekers and what I call looters, outlaw archaeologists, sometimes killers, the location is kept secret. Imagine, so that I will put things in perspective. There is gold all over the seabed, the floor. Unusual ships. There are mines that are still probably active. And that's outside of Russian assault forces in the recent times. I'm sure there is more to this island. Now, the Black Sea Serpent Island, which stretches 35 kilometers from the mainland, marks the confluence of the Danube into the open sea. The settlement Beloye, located there, has the status of a settlement, okay? And has its own bank branch, post office, and even a museum. How was it before the Russian invasion of 2022? Getting to this place was not easy. So the road to the island side was an exciting adventure in modern Ukraine for those who tried to get there. After getting by bus from Odessa to Wilkovo, that's about 200 kilometers, you needed to transfer to the steamer. The way by water lies along the Romanian border, along the European artery of the Danube, and the last kilometers are already on the open sea, or you should smell the air of the Black Sea open. I know about speaking my experience from visiting it before, from spending time on the other island, I will never forget it. And the fishing there is amazing too. Anyway, you could get to the island, Snake Island, by a border helicopter, but not everybody can get to it. And what would interest tourists on Snake Island after the war is over? Its main attraction is a 40-meter octagonal lighthouse with a glass lantern at the top. They say it was built from the stones of the very temple of Achilles in 1843, designed by the English architect Charles Ackroyd, probably. Initially, the lighthouse's maintenance staff consisted of 5 to 8 people, and construction work was carried out for a long time, from 1843 actually to 1856, which was associated with the Crimean or so-called Eastern War. Now, before the war of 2022, several people worked there, and there was an installed solar power plant that provided energy to power the lighthouse. So what is going on there now? Well, on Thursday, June 30, 2022, Russia pulled back its forces from the strategically placed Black Sea Island, where they have faced relentless Ukrainian attacks, but kept up its push to encircle the last bulwark of Ukraine's resistance in the eastern province of Luhansk. Russia's defense ministry said it withdrew its forces from the Zmyny Snake Island of Ukraine's Black seaport of Odessa in what it described as a goodwill gesture. Ukraine's military said the Russians fled the island in 2 speedboats following a barrage of the Ukrainian artillery and missile strikes. Russia took control of the island that sits along a busy shipping lane in the opening days of the war, in apparent hope to use it as a staging ground for an attack on Odessa. The island came to epitomize the Ukrainian resistance to the Russian invasion when Ukrainian troops there received a demand from a Russian warship to surrender or face bombardment. This is what they got in back. Russian warship, go, expletive, yourself. The Ukrainian defenders of the island were captured by the Russians, but later they were freed as part of a prisoner exchange. And after the island was taken by the Russians, the Ukrainian military relentlessly bombarded a small Russian garrison and air defense asset stationed there. So the war is not over. We'll see in the future what will happen. I am as concerned, used to be, for the safety of the island as I was for the other mystical Ukrainian place I described in my videos. And I'm concerned, of course, for the safety and welfare of Ukraine, its people. I'm not happy about the Russian lives being lost in this senseless war. And as one who loves archaeology, and especially underwater archaeology of Ukraine and its historical assets, incredible history, I hope they are not destroyed, and I hope that the shield of Achilles has not been found. So let me spend a few minutes telling you this. I kept telling you about this discovery of the ship cemetery by the island. Here's a report from 2014. Odessa archaeologists found treasures of the snake patroclus. An exhibition of antiquity artifacts raised from the bottom of the sea near Snake Island coast was opened in Odessa Archaeological Museum. We're talking about the cargo and other items on board the Greek ship that sank 2,500 years ago near today's sea outpost of Ukraine. As a reminder, relics of a sailing ship were found in summer 2011 by amateurs of the diving club Navarex. They immediately notified the Institute of Archaeology at the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine. Excuse me. In the same year, they began the object investigation under the codename Snake Patroclus. The underwater operations were carried out by the experts of the public enterprise Yush Hydroarchaeology and the divers of Navarex. The length of the sunken sailing ship is 26 meters, according to this report. Midship frame width in the widest part is 7 to 8 meters. Patroclus is a merchant ship. Combat vessels were smaller and narrower than merchants at all times. Predominantly, it moved due to wind power, though it had oars. According to the head of Odessa Branch Archaeology Institute, Tatiana Samoilova, most probably the Patroclus carried wine and olive oil, as well as valuable black lacquered ceramics. The outland silexes, scyphoses, and the cantaruses, chalices and bowls, were found underwater. We know the place of departure. Most amphora found on the island are originally from the Preparet Island, a modern scopeless island in the western part of the Aegean Sea, northern Sporades archipelago. Thus, it may be concluded that the ship departed from the Preparet Island, which was the very large center of winemaking, according to Samoilova. The way from Preparet to Levke, ancient Greek name of the Snake Island, even at those speeds, took not so much time, 7 to 10 days. After the Dardanelles and the Bosphorus, they could go in 3 directions: along the eastern shore of the Black Sea, along the western, or to make a shortcut at the great cost of life. But we tend to conclude that Patroclus followed along the western shore to one of the northwestern Black Sea colonies, or the Tauric Chersonis. If a shipwreck did not happen, the vessel would go back with a cargo of grain. A severe storm which caught merchants near Levke could cause Patroclus crash. Whether anyone has died during the crash or the sailors managed to get ashore, we could never know for sure, probably. Approximate date of the shipwreck is the end of the 5th and the beginning of the 4th century BC. By the way, the archaeologists raised from the depth of 35 meters some personal, as they think, things of the crew members. These are pottery vessels, amphora for water, pots, and mortariums, flat-bottomed, thick-walled bowls, which were used for household and ritual purposes. The most significant finding was the marble statue of the harvest goddess Demeter, which was obviously carried for sale in one of the northern Black Sea towns. According to the deputy director of the museum, Sergei Охотников, finding of the snake Patroclus is a great achievement for domestic Ukrainian archaeology. Ancient ships are scarcely ever found in the Black Sea. It is the first ship found with cargo. Alas, despite the fact that scientists keep in secret the exact coordinates of the ship's location, it has already attracted attention of the outlaw archaeologists. They call them differently, but I'll translate it as outlaw archaeologists. In late July, unidentified divers damaged the object, having stolen many artifacts. Too bad they got to it, and I don't know if Ukraine even has any resources to guard its historical treasures, and who can blame them in the war. And someday I'll tell you stories of archaeologists being killed when they try to protect such treasures. That was probably 20 years ago. And it's an ongoing tragedy, as I told you about Mexico too, for example, and other places of the world where archaeological finds are looted and then sold in the black markets. But that's the story of the Snake Island, and I'm sure we'll hear more about it, about this island, as the time goes on. If you like my research, please, I ask that you help me. You will see the links in the description to this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Please like my videos and tell others. Thank you.